Good afternoon to all of you and welcome to our VPE training. It's good to have all of you here. And so if you logged in a bit early and you heard us talking nonsense, well, it's COVID time and we do find time to just chat to each other and to spice up each other's lives. But now let's spice up our VPE role with some training. Today's training is on Speechcraft and youth leadership. The question is not necessarily just what is it, but why bother with it? What can it do for us? Because let's face it, look, I'm an honest person and straightforward. I think you've gotten to know me by now. I don't have much time for this and that and the other to be added to my plate. I'm very busy. So something must have something in it for me to be able to latch onto it. So what does Speechcraft have in for me to be able to spend time on it? Please just type or give me some emojis if you don't have a clue what Speechcraft is. Who doesn't know anything about Speechcraft and has vaguely heard about it, but you don't really know what it is? Just give me a thumbs up if you don't know much about it. This is your first introduction to it. Oh, there's quite a number of you. There we go. I'm ready. Let's go. Speechcraft and youth leadership programs. Before we take anybody onto Speechcraft and youth leadership programs, an important place to start is to start off with, well, who's Toastmasters? Because when you understand who Toastmasters is and where we come from, it gives credibility to the program that we have. So let's look at who is Toastmasters, where does it come from? So our founder was Dr. Ralph Smedley. At the YMCA, anybody remember the song? Educational director. And the first meeting was the 22nd of October, 1924. So we're coming up close for 100-year celebration in October. So remember that date and share that with your clubs. If you're going to have meetings, make it a Toastmasters birthday meeting if it's around that time. The venue was a basement in the Santa Ana, California YMCA. And the aim that he started this with was to help people overcome their terrifying fear of public speaking. I must tell you that when he started out, it was all men's, and later on, women came on board as well. Now, if we look at what is happening now, just some statistics from the latest stats that we have, some highlights are our membership is just under 300,000 and 69.8% have become more confident and effective speakers. Why? Because they have been going through their pathways. The COVID impact, what was that? We only had a 17.6% negative growth. That is quite amazing if you have a look at what's happened right across the world. It just shows you how people are using this time to educate themselves. 104,300 new members came on board, and member average tenure is almost 3 years. The last of the stats that we have, the average age, much younger than me, not half my age, at least I'm not that old yet, is 46.2. And here's the education. Now look at how many people are there so that you know who's supposed to be your target market. Only 10.4% are students. I know we always say we want to go out and get the up and coming professionals, but look at it. 78.1% actually have a bachelor's degree or higher. That's very interesting, isn't it? And the females are more popular to take on Toastmasters than males. Question now is, what do you think is a Speechcraft? So please type in the chat box for me. What do you think is a Speechcraft? Remember, it's what you think, not what it is. It's what you think. So I'm launching my chat here that I can see. What are you typing? What do you think is a Speechcraft? what do you think is a Speechcraft? So while you are typing there, what do you think is a Speechcraft? I would like to share a little bit of information with you, and then we will go into unravel the Speechcraft. A major thing for us as VPEs to remember that in our clubs, the members that are coming there are only gaining access to Toastmasters International website, pathways, training materials. That's all they basically know. If we in the club do not create a learning environment, the only learning that will take place is what they pick up when they read through their learning materials. Then how can we help them and bring in more learning, more practical learning for them? That is when we bring into our agenda of our meetings. And I always like to say, I allocate one time slot. And most of the time we have 2 meetings a month. So then the one meeting, I give that time slot to education, and the other time I give that time slot to club business, because we should have club business once a month. If we put club business once a month on our agenda, we will make sure the exco are keeping up to it, because they need to come and report back at the club business as what is happening. It's a beautiful cycle to keep everyone accountable for doing what they should. But as VPEs, it helps us to give information across to our members where we see the need is. Now, the need can be in terms of speaking, particularly if you have a lot of new, let's say you have a club of 20 members and 15 of those are less than 1 year a Toastmaster. Then you want to help them with developing their speaking capacity. But if you have only 5 new members in the last year, but you have a lot of other established members, then you want to go into how to develop your club and grow your club. So that's how you decide what kind of education there is. Other than that, just look at what are the questions they're asking you, then present training on answering those questions. Now let's quickly have a look at, what do you think is a Speechcraft? A crash course for learning about public speaking, the how. Very good. I'm guessing it is an introduction to speech writing and performing a speech. Also very good. I think Speechcraft is teaching one how to better handle their emotions along the way while learning to speak professionally. All of it, all of the above so far. Learning the art of speech writing, exactly. Certain way of preparing and delivering a speech. All of you have, to the point, something correct about what a Speechcraft is. Now, the reason why I shared with you regarding the educational, because Toastmasters International have 3 packages of education, if I can put it that way, that you can bring in. The one is the Successful Club series, where it talks about how to evaluate first impressions with moments of truth and membership drives, PR drives, etc. That is to grow your club. But then they also have a leadership series where you learn on vision, mission, and everything around leadership. But the third one is the one that is mainly dealt with on Speechcraft, and that is the Better Speaker series. And the Better Speaker series has short nuggets of information that you present to speakers in order to sharpen their speaking capacity. So let's have a look at what a Speechcraft is. Well, first of all, why attend a Speechcraft? As a participant. So if you are your VPE, you are the VPE and you want to market Speechcraft to the club and say to the club, we have a product called the Speechcraft. And the reason why we want to market it to other people is what I'm going to share with you now. So this is from an angle of what's in it for the person that we present it to. I like to use a Speechcraft to grow the club. Now, remember, when you go through pathways as a member and you are serious, you want to walk that road of earning your DTM, somewhere along the line, one of the options that are there is for you to actually present a Speechcraft. But if you don't get to present a Speechcraft, you can utilize it. There's different facets of the Speechcraft that you can use on your journey towards DTM. And I get to that a little bit later. But one of the things is that the club needs to help grow other clubs. And this, a Speechcraft, is a wonderful tool in growing clubs. If you have a corporate that you can present it to, what we normally do is we offer it to a corporate. We sell it at 1,000 Rand or whatever equivalent it is, 1,000 Rand per person attending. So let's say the corporate company has about 9 people coming in. It's 9,000 coming into the club. And then you present this Speechcraft, and it's good, clean money for the club because the costs are not that much for you to pay over to Toastmasters for the material that they will be using. So it's a really good way to earn some money for the club. But we do a Speechcraft with a corporate with the intention of getting them to start a club. Everything we do always needs to have an intention and a purpose of where we're going and what we are doing. Now, what's in it for the person? What would be in it for the corporate or for the person that we're trying to do? You can have a community Speechcraft where every person in the club can invite a friend and come, and they have a short course, and this is what it is. The first thing it is to improve oral communication. We talk all the time in various situations and learn to master the craft. So what is a craft? A craft is having a skill in doing or making something. So it's developing the skill to do or make a speech. Speechcraft develop the skill to speak and communicate effectively. Impressions. How well you verbalize your thoughts and ideas determines the impression you make on people, and ultimately how successful you are in life. Who needs a Speechcraft? Just about everybody does. And you learn by doing. Each meeting, you will learn various speaking and evaluation skills from experienced speaker. And your progress? Granny B's hammer story. So if ever you've heard me do any presentation, this is a story I often talk about. Greetings, everyone, all the way from Swakopmund, Namibia. This is Granny B. Have you ever tasted success? I tell you, once you've tasted success, you just want to keep on going. And I'm so happy it says success breeds success. Now, my first success at Toastmasters was not because I was informed by something. It was quite accidental, but it set the tone for the rest of my Toastmasters journey. I was really pressurized and overwhelmed by my business pressures of things that I needed to get done there. Then on the other hand, there was my Toastmasters development, and I did not want it to lag behind, because if you are paying your dues, you wanted to bring value for you and you want to have some kind of an investment return for it. Then one day I discovered that my personal business project aligns with a Toastmasters Educational. I decided to take the one and utilize it with the other, because the business project I did not have enough information on, and I thought the Toastmasters project might just help me. As I read through the information and I was able to excel and do well in this project, it truly set me up for success for the rest of my Toastmasters journey. I want to encourage you, whatever you do, when you become part of Toastmasters, find out how to marry Toastmasters projects with your success by whatever it is you want to achieve in life. I became intentional. And since then, every single project of mine has been to have an expected outcome, and I have achieved that success. I have written a book because of Toastmasters projects. I've been a TEDx speaker. I have done so many things and have been successful in so much because I simply took my Toastmasters educational projects for my success. Toastmasters doesn't work. Toastmasters doesn't work. What? Yes, Toastmasters doesn't work. A hammer lying in your garage doesn't work. You have to pick it up and use it for it to work. Pick up your Toastmasters, use it, and become successful. It's true. Toastmasters doesn't work. Toastmasters does not work. Your hammer lying in your garage, does it work? No, it doesn't work. It's lying in the garage. The only time your hammer works is if you go into the garage, you pick up that hammer and you use the hammer. And that's the same with Toastmasters. You have to go online, tap into the training material. Then you've got to learn from it. You've got to assimilate it. You've got to put it into a practical presentation or somewhere project that you utilize it in order for it to work for you. It's a tool like a hammer. The greater you become is only because of how often you use it and how much you use it. That actually says the same thing. Just as the person with a hammer, somebody that doesn't know how to handle a hammer will take any hammer for any job and just whack away. They might take a hammer that has a wooden handle and a rubber top and want to bang in a nail. And all of a sudden they find the back of the nail goes right into the hammer because that's not the kind of hammer to use. And so in Toastmasters, there are different set of skills used for different things. You won't develop leadership skill if you need to be a manager. It's the same thing. So Toastmasters doesn't work. But if you pick it up and use it and work it, you get to become successful and shine. And that is Grenabe's hammer story. Speechcraft, what is needed? You need a chief organizer. Now, as a VPE, take note of this. The chief organizer will launch a complete team. The chief organizer is not going to get credit for a speechcraft that they've done, but a chief organizer launches a complete team, has an PR to advertise it, VPM to source the participants and put them in to become new members. Because remember, if you do a community one, you use that as a way to grow new members for your club. And you have the sergeant at arms to get the menu going or online. And then you need a coordinator. It's the coordinator that gets the credit for a speechcraft. You need advisors and meeting role players. And you can use this project that they can complete their pathways level 4 project to manage projects successfully, or a level 5 project, a high performance leadership project. So any people that come to that, say to them, listen, I see you coming to your level 4 project or your level 5 project. Why don't you organize a speechcraft? So the credit they get is not for the speechcraft itself, but for the organizing of the speechcraft. I hope that makes sense. The coordinator is the only person that can gain the recognition for presenting the speechcraft. Only one per one speechcraft. Advisors, there needs to be one per participant, and those same advisors will help in the other roles there too. But you need one per participant because you will have a breakout session where each advisor will help one participant, maximum 2, in developing their projects and their speeches. You need meeting role players, mainly for the first 2 sessions, because later on you transfer this now over to the participants to start doing that. And you need Speechcraft resources for the meetings held as face-to-face, virtual, or hybrid. How does it work? You can have, I advise one of 2 styles. You either have a 6 to 8 week program, and within the Speechcraft, it tells you how you can schedule the different programs for what you need. This, I would say, is best for when you have individuals, you're advertising, it's a community one, and you say every week or bi-weekly, we will have for 2 hours a Speechcraft. So the duration is about 2 to 2.5 hours. Frequency is every week or fortnightly. And you can do it face-to-face, virtual, or you can do the hybrid method. But the second one is the one that I normally advertise for corporate. I do it as a 2.5-day program. The duration is then 2 8-hour days and plus 1 day that's 4.5 hours. I normally do it Tuesday full day, Thursday full day, and Friday morning. And the mode there is face-to-face, virtual, or hybrid. What will a typical meeting look like? You will have a plenary session where there's a master trainer and advisor delivers a module on a key skill. And that's what I was talking about, the successful speaker series. Let's say they come to the program and they have to talk about vocal variety. Then somebody that is a better speaker will stand up to do that presentation on vocal variety. And it won't be somebody that says, good afternoon, everybody. Today we're going to talk about vocal variety. I'm so happy to meet you all. And I think you will find this very insightful and very interesting. Vocal variety begins with, can you see what I mean? You've got to get the people that can present those educationals, that can present it with the life, the energy, the power, the accuracy of what the content is all about. There will be prepared speeches where participants will deliver prepared speeches from allocated manual, and there will be table topics. Participants will deliver an impromptu speech topic given on the spot. There will be evaluations. Can you see it's typical to our meetings, to our normal meetings? A team of role players evaluate the entire meeting and provide individual feedback initially, and participants eventually take on the role, learn as they do. This is a video where she tells you of all the role players in a meeting.
Hello, I'm Stacy. Thanks for visiting Toastmasters International, where more than 4 million people have become more confident speakers and leaders. They did so by visiting a Toastmasters club in their company or community. When you visit a club, you'll find 3 things. Members give speeches, they take on meeting roles, and they have a great time learning. There's no designated teacher in a Toastmasters meeting. Instead, much of the learning happens by doing a particular task, such as giving a formal speech or fulfilling a particular meeting role. Ready to visit a club? It's free, and you can find one near you on the Toastmasters website at www.toastmasters.org. The purpose of the meeting roles is to help the members improve their speaking and leadership skills by providing feedback and evaluation. There are 7 different meeting roles: Toastmaster of the Day, Awe Counter, Grammarian, Timer, Evaluator, Table Topics Master, and General Evaluator. Every meeting is started by the club president, who introduces the Toastmaster of the Day. The Toastmaster of the Day is the host of the meeting. Fulfilling this role is great practice for leading meetings. The Toastmaster begins by introducing people who will fill other meeting roles for the day. He or she acts like an MC and keeps the meeting flowing smoothly and on time. Many clubs use an awe counter to document the number of filler words members use while speaking. At the end of each meeting, the awe counter reports how many ahs, and other similar words each speaker used. This helps members become more aware of unintended words or sounds they make when they speak. The grammarian helps members expand their vocabularies. One of the grammarian's duties is to provide a word of the day and its definition. If a member uses the word of the day or says something well, the grammarian calls attention to it. As the name implies, the timer records the exact length of each speech. He or she also uses timing lights to help speakers stay within their allocated time limits. The general evaluator takes notes throughout the meeting and reports back to everyone, giving specific feedback on how well the meeting flowed and also on how future meetings might be improved. The general evaluator also calls for reports by the awe counter, grammarian, and timer. In every club meeting, there are at least 2 members who present speeches. These speakers don't just stand up and start talking. They use the guidelines in their designated education manuals to prepare their presentations and reach the objectives for each speech. Every speaker who has prepared speeches in advance enjoys one of Toastmasters' greatest benefits, evaluation. Think of it as having a friend watch you practice a speech and then give you helpful feedback. The speaker usually meets with an evaluator before the meeting and asks the evaluator to pay attention to certain aspects of the talk. After all the speeches are done, the evaluators present their feedback in front of the club, covering areas such as, did the speakers use their hands to gesture well? Did they control their voices throughout the speeches? What did they do especially well, and what are some ideas for improvement? In addition to prepared speeches, a few minutes are set aside for table topics. This is often the most challenging, but also the most fun part of our meetings. During table topics, a series of questions or speaking topics are presented, and members are selected to respond on the spot. This is excellent training for those situations that come up in everyone's lives, where we have to think fast and say just the right thing. It might be a job interview, a sales meeting, or a dinner conversation. Table topics are great for practicing and honing the skills of impromptu speaking. Now that all the reports have been made, the president calls the meeting to a close. Everyone joins Toastmasters with a personal goal. Maybe it's a goal to become a more confident presenter, or learn how to run a meeting, or think faster on your feet. Whatever it is, you can achieve your goal if you participate. So, what's your goal? For more information on the club experience, please visit a Toastmasters club. To learn more about how you can become a better speaker and leader, visit www.toastmasters.org. To find a Toastmasters meeting near you, visit the Find a Club section at www.toastmasters.org.
And then the Speechcraft guided model. It's a guided model. Evaluating their own speaking ability, preparing and delivering speeches, giving impromptu talks, controlling their voice vocabulary and gestures. I want to say that word again. Often I found people refer to that word as gestures, but it's gestures. Just practice it with me, gestures. Okay, giving constructive feedback. That's the guided model. Here's the fine print of a Speechcraft. If you can get about 20 plus attendees, you can actually start a club. Remember, for me, the way I normally look at it is either we have a community Speechcraft where we invite all kinds of people and we're hoping to get 20 plus attendees, and then that can start a club. Or if we get less than 20 attendees, then those people will be incorporated into our club so that our club can grow. Other than that, I focus on a community club. There are other ways of doing it, but those are just what I've done over the years. And those are models that work really well for me. If you have that 20 plus attendees and you're going to start a club from this, that means there's a one-time chartering fee of $125 US. There's the one-time membership fee of $20 US and the 6-month membership dues of $45. If you total that up and you divide it by 20, it works out to $71 US 25 per person. And you can round that up for the starting of a club, and you can put that forward. And right from the word go, as you present your Speechcraft, you make them aware of that this is just the nuggets of a true Toastmasters program, and help them see the difference between receiving a lot of information, walking away feeling high, and less than 3 hours later, they've forgotten most of the information and then they come plummeting down. Whereas if you follow the Toastmasters model of learning, you receive information, assimilate it, process it, and then you have to present, then you have to do. And it's in that doing that you learn. But the biggest part of learning is when you teach others. And that's why Toastmasters International, when you see the graphic of what you need to do for a DTM, there's a lot of learning, but there's also doing in training when you become the mentor and the coach. That's when you are training. That's the highest learning that can take place for you. That's just to give you an idea of how you can use a Speechcraft to grow your club or start a new club. And then it also says what it offers. There's expert hand-holding, dedicated coordinators, 4 expert trainers, offline and face-to-face mentoring, educational manuals, Globe Brand Association, and that's all free because those are the club sponsors and mentors that walk along the road with them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Speechcraft, which is for the 18 years and above. That's Speechcraft. But youth leadership is for those under 18 years of age. And in the youth leadership program, there's an additional module, which is the youth leadership program, Interpersonal Communication. And that's also for those that are under 18. The reason why they have this kind of division between the two is because in many countries, there are legal laws that binds you on what you're allowed to do at a club meeting if they are minors, and minors are normally considered those under 18. And in order to make sure we don't get ourselves into trouble because of any legalities, we clearly differentiate between the two. These are Toastmasters Club meetings for 18 and above, and these are for under 18. And that's important to do so that you don't run into any legal problems. And that brings us to the end of today's presentation. Now it's time for questions and answers. I hope there's a lot. Yes, Estelle.
Thank you so much. I just want to know, so if you have a youth program, does it work the same way that Speechcraft does?
There are so many similarities in that. That's why I didn't even go into the depth of a youth leadership program, because it has so many similarities.
Okay, so if I started, let's say for my project 5, level 5, I want to do a youth program.
Yes.
Then I just use the interpersonal communication, and I use the Speechcraft.
No. You actually use the youth leadership one. Remember, I showed the photo. There is the Speechcraft, and there's the youth leadership program. Youth leadership program is like a Speechcraft. Additionally, there's the interpersonal communication.
Great, thank you.
So there are 2 programs for the youth leadership one, similar to Speechcraft, and the interpersonal communication. Percival, how can I help?
Okay, hi, Granny B, and good afternoon to fellow VPEs. Well, Granny B, the Speechcraft program, it's quite new to me, and it is interesting. And yeah, I'm very excited to also say that it's something that I want to implement in our club. So this being new, and also in comparison with the other programs, as the youth program, as you've just been speaking right now, I'm wondering if maybe today's presentation could be made available, just for later reference, so that one can get a clear understanding of how the Speechcraft differs from the other programs.
For sure, Percival. I did have some problems with being able to upload our previous trainings, and I've managed to sort that now, and I'm hoping this weekend to catch up because I'm a little bit behind in that. But you're supposed to be able to, if you click on our WhatsApp group's description details, there is supposed to be a link for the Google Drive.
Greetings, everyone. Here are the instructions on how to find the training material. First of all, look for the icon and the group description name, or the name of the group that we belong to. Click on that. Once you've clicked on that, it will reveal description. That's the description of the group that I'm talking about. It only reveals a little bit of the information, and it normally has a part that says read more. Just click on the read more part to reveal everything. There you will see our Friday link for the training. Also my website where there's more information. Here's the group invite link so that you can invite others to the group. You just copy and paste that to whoever would like to be part of the group. But here is the VPE Google Drive with the resources in it. So you just click on that, now I'm going to click on that so that you can see how it takes us to the site. Once you get to the site, in the folder right now, there are only 3 folders there, and the folders will keep on growing. The first one is just Toastmasters International gave us some PDFs of Basecamp tutorial where you can get information on how to do certain things in Basecamp. Then there's a folder of evaluations that has just about every evaluation that you can think of. And then we begin with the training. So we've already had VPE 1 training, which is your member interest survey, which is the first part of what you needed to get done. And so VPE training 02, 03, 04, etc. will be following down here with the dates on which the trainings were done. Now, if we click into VPE training 1, there are 2 PDF documents. The first PDF document gives you, this is what we were training about on our training sheet. Here, this is what we said we would train about. Here are the resources for you. You can click on each link to find the resources. And it gives you your VPE training recording. You click on that and you will access the training recording. So you can watch the training and you can go through, there's the slide presentation. You can click on that for the slide presentation as well. And the survey forms as they are available to you and as they are explained.
And each week's training is reflected in there. And whatever PowerPoint we use, whatever resources we talk about, as well as the link for the video is available there, but you must always look for the document that refers to that week. And then it says at the back, outline and links. So I always create a document that has all the outline of briefly what we spoke about. And if there was any resources referred to during the outline, I put them inside that PDF so that they are live links that you can just click on them and draw the resources and download them from where they must come. As well as I add the video, the link to the video, and you can watch that again. So just remember to do that, but I'm behind. So if anybody prays here, pray for me that I can get it done fast since I've now managed to solve my problem. Yes, Francois.
Hello, good afternoon to you. Sorry, it's morning for me. Yes. My question is, the Speechcraft then is something that all Toastmasters, all VPE Toastmasters should actually start at the beginning of the Toastmasters year, or at the beginning of the next calendar. Why I say that? Like everybody had to renew by the end of September. So, for October going forward. So now I'm just thinking, okay, we have new members who signed in from October, which goes for the next 6 months. So the Speechcraft then will come in handy for our new members. Yeah.
True. But remember, when you do a Speechcraft, there are costs involved. It's a little, can I call it a battery on its own? And what you would have is you need a workbook for your presenter, and you need a workbook for those participants. You either get the digital ones so that they can tap in and connect digitally, or you can get the physical ones that they have hand in hand. So you must be prepared for that. So if you want to do that for your actual members, there needs to be a cost involved. Now, you can go about doing it in various ways. You can either make sure that your membership fee incorporates one Speechcraft cost of a booklet, etc. And you present your Speechcraft and you get them to invite other people to the Speechcraft as well. In other words, a member can attend one Speechcraft for free because it's included in their membership fees. But this is the cost for when they bring other people in, which makes it an incentive for somebody that if I can bring a friend along, I don't have to pay because my fees have paid for that. So that's something that you can use. but look for creative ways how to do it, because there are extra costs involved and you need to consider that. And then again, what you could do is, because members do learn also from this experience, especially if you bring them in as being part of the role players to help with either the evaluations or handling the table topics or being the timer or whatever the case may be, they can come in as a role player. They don't go through the book, but they see the presentations given regarding the different subjects. They hear what's going on, and that also is a learning experience for them without costing them anything then at the time. But the biggest reason why you actually do Speechcraft is so that you can get some income for your club.
Thank you.
And there was a question, how do we kickstart the youth program? You kickstart it, I would say, by keep on talking about it in the club, to say, this is an exciting thing. Somebody said, was it last week, that somebody said that on their agenda, they have an item, did you know? And that did you know is, they bring something, did you know? And then they just share a little tip of Toastmasters somewhere. You can add into you, and it's 2 minutes only. Did you know Toastmasters does this? Did you know that program has that? Did you know, whatever it is? And then you can say, did you know there is a Speechcraft program in Toastmasters? And then you can share with them how they can present a Speechcraft and earn credits for their level 4 or the level 5 project, and how that can be used. Plus it can bring money into the club, etc. You can do something like that. So you want to kickstart it by constantly talking about it. And then people, because I don't know about you, but one thing I've learned, I have sometimes said things 5, 6 times before somebody actually heard what I said, because often they're busy thinking about something else that you said and they just haven't taken it in. So keep on talking about it. Somewhere somebody will connect with it and it will lighten up. So kickstarting it is talk about it often, encourage Toastmasters to take it on as one of their projects to develop their pathway projects, to finish one of their pathway projects, or speak to it with your PR team that they do a membership drive to increase members, or they do it as starting a new club. Maybe you have a lead of a corporate club. I hope that gets you going. Any other questions? Dylan, you have a question. Talk to us. And then Lynette, you can share with us any other things that you have on Speechcraft. Okay, Dylan.
Thank you very much, Granny B. My question is there a difference between the interpersonal communication and the youth leadership program? Can we run them concurrently, or should one follow the other?
I would say you finish the one and then you do the other one. That's normally better, because people's mind, especially if you're going to have the same people, then let them finish one thing and then go on to the next. I would suggest that. You can run it concurrently, but I just think how people are put together, it's good for them to focus on one thing, achieve it, finish it, and then move on to the next. That would be my suggestion. Lynette, I hear you.
Cool. It's just, I wanted to mention, when we run youth leadership at a school, depending on the size of the group, we run it for 6 to 8 weeks. And the final program is like a showcase event where they invite their parents, so that the parents can see how well they've developed over the year, and also so that the teachers, usually the headmaster would attend an event like that, can see how the I don't know what you call them, children, learners, pupils have developed over the time they've had the course. And it's very rewarding to be able to see how those children have developed and how much confidence they've built in that time period.
That is true. That is now when we talk about the youth leadership program. Have you got any experience on Speechcraft and anything that you would like to add with that just before we close off?
I have done fewer Speechcrafts than youth leadership, but it's the same sort of thing. I've run the Speechcraft, I generally run with a smaller group. I run it over 4 weeks, And also we have a showcase event at the end where the senior people from that particular corporate come to see how everybody is now able to speak.
Yes, that's the time that we hand the certificates out to everybody, and they do the last speeches there as well, etc. That is true. Okay, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, VPEs, amazing VPEs, I think we have come to the end of today's session. And I hope this was a blessing to you and that you go out there and make other people great speakers as you present Speechcraft and youth leadership programs. And with that, we're going to greet. I don't have music to take us out today. I wish you all the best. Thank you for the hearts and waves. Have a beautiful weekend. And thank you for attending. It was good to see you again. Bye, Simbogele, Stanley, Marie, Moana, Mwansa, Francois, Dylan.
Thank you.
Valentine, Isel. See you. Bye. Thank you, Lynette.